Hi folks, Dave here from Moss University once again, and in this video we're going to look at some more detail at the concept of tables in Microsoft Excel. So here we have our worksheet, and just to go back over what we saw in the last video very quickly, I'm going to create a table here. We're going to the Insert tab, Table. It'll select the data that I want. If it hasn't done it automatically, you need to select the data, obviously. I have headers, press OK, and now my table is created, and there's my table. So let's have a look at what's involved on the Table Tools menu. So once you're anywhere inside the Table's Tools menu bar becomes available to you. And the first thing to notice is that you can give the table a unique name. You cannot have spaces in the name, so I've used an underscore to call this Dave's table. So that's the first thing. That's where the table name comes from. If you want to change the size of the table and add in more columns, for example, you can go to Resize table, and this allows you to change the range of data over which you've created that table. We'll cancel out of that for the moment. The next thing I might want to do is remove duplicates from a table. Now here you can see that this table has records based on departure, airports and other information. But you can see that there's one record for Recife as the departure airport. Then we have a load of records for Belfast and so on. I can remove the duplicates by selecting the Remove Duplicates option. And now it asks me, what do I want to look for duplicates based on? Now I can leave these all selected if I need to, but say I just wanted to remove the ones to do with the departure airport. So I'll leave the departure airport checkbox checked, press OK. And now you can see that 36 duplicate values were found and removed. 6 unique values remain. And when I press OK, those records are gone. So that's removing duplicates. Now obviously I don't want to do that for real, so I'll undo that and get my data back again. Okay, next thing we have on the Table Tools, we have the option to have a total row. Now you can see the header row is already checked because I specified there was a header row there when I created the table. If I uncheck that, the header row disappears. Next I have a total row. Now when I press on the total row, you can see it goes down to the bottom of the table, and here where there are numbers in this column here, it's put in a formula. When I click on this cell here, you can see that I have a pull down menu. The default formula used is sum, but I don't have to use that. I could use different ones. And indeed, if there are other columns on the table, which in this case there are, on each of the cells in the total row, when I click on them, you can see that a pull down menu is available for me to put in a formula. Now, it won't work, it won't make a lot of sense unless it's numeric data, but you have the ability to be able to put in formula for each of the cells in the total row. So that's adding in a total row. Next we have the option to have banded rows. Now this already has banded rows on it, which means that the color of each alternate row will be different. I can click that off and you can see that the banded rows have disappeared. I'll put them back on. And you can do the same thing with the columns. I'll just scroll up to the top and click on banded columns, and you can see that the columns are now banded also. So that's banded rows and columns. When I click on the first column option, you can see it highlights or emboldens the data in the first column. Similarly with the last column, if I click on that, it emboldens the first and last column are now emboldened the data. Okay. Next we have the option to do a filter. So if I click off the filter option, you see that none of the filters are there. Now if you haven't used filters before, you won't know how to do this. So I'll just go very quickly through it because it is the subject of a separate lecture. If I click on the filter option here, you can see I have a pull down menu on each of the headings. And when I click on it, I have the ability to sort the data if I wish. And I have the ability to filter. So for example, say I only want to see data where the number of passengers was 39. I'll select 39, press OK, and you can see only one record meets that criteria. Now when the filter is turned on, you have this little symbol, and when I click on it, I can clear the filter from that particular data. The data doesn't disappear, it's just filtered to show a subset of the data that's available to you. I have other options here. So for example, number filters gives me the option to use Boolean operators. Equals does not equal, greater than or equal to, and so on. And again, I'm not going to show this in detail because it is the subject of a separate lecture. But be aware that you have full filtering capacities on any table by turning on that filter button. Next, we have the option to apply a table style. Now when I click on this extended menu here, you can see you've got three categories: light, medium and dark. And just by hovering over it, you can see the effect. As I hover over each one, you can see how the table look and feel changes. So for example, if I select that one, you can see that it's quite dark. So you can go and pick the one that you like. The key thing to notice, of course, is that as I hover over each one, the name of the style appears on the screen. And that's really important in terms of taking the exam, because you've got to realize that you might be asked, for example, to apply the orange table style light 10. And here it is here. And all I like to do that, all I have to do is just click on it like that. I'll just undo that for a moment. You can also create your own styles. So you've got the option down here to select a new table style. And when I do that, I can give it a name. Dave's style. And then I can specify how I want a particular element of the table to look. So for example, if I want the total row, I select the total row and I want to format it so that the total row is emboldened. And I also want the color of the total row to be in standard red. And I can press OK, press OK. And now on the options here, you can see I have a custom one here and it's called Dave's style. And when I click on it, you can see that the total row is now emboldened in red. So that's creating your own style. So if it's something that you want to do, you can do it. And it's always available when you create your own style. It's available on the custom option here. So I'll just put it back to this one here. I'll select blue table style light 13, and there it is. Now, you can see that if I select one of these styles, it may override something that I've selected here. For example, banded rows doesn't appear to be a feature of that particular style. So just be aware that that's the case. And we leave it like that. Okay, so that's applying and creating styles. What else have we got? Let's see. Yeah, one thing that you might be asked to do is to apply alternative text for a table. Now, on the Table Tools menu, it's not there. So where is it? On the right-hand mouse button, you've got the option to go into Table here, and here you've got the option to apply alternative text. And this is where you find it. So alternative text for people who may have poor eyesight, and they might need alternative text to be read out to them as they're using the program. So I can put in alternative text, flights table, and then I can put in a description here if I wish. I'll leave that as it is at the moment and press OK. So that's alternative text. Now, here's a one that is very particular to tables, and you have to be very careful. For those of you who are going to do the exam in Excel, the core or associate exam in Excel, be very aware that this always comes up as a question and people get it wrong all the time. If I said to you that I want to remove a row from this table, say this one here, row 5. Deleting a row, always the same. You just click on it, right click and say delete, and that deletes the row. The problem with that is that it doesn't just delete it from the table, it deletes the complete row from the worksheet. I'll undo what I just did there. So we've sit here below the back again. If you're asked to remove or delete a row from a table, you've got to go to the Home menu, to the Delete option, and make sure that you select Delete, yeah. So delete, make sure you have something selected on the table, and then you have these options here, delete table row or delete table column. And that's where you do that, because that won't affect anything outside of the table. That's the difference. So if I delete a one row here, sorry, I'll put something out here. I'll put the word Dave here. If I go to row 6 here, which is where that word is, it's in column F in row 6. If I say I want to delete that particular row from the table, let's see what happens. So I go to delete that table row. You can see that Dave is still there. So it doesn't affect what's outside of the table. That's a really, really important distinction. And the same thing is true of inserting. So you can insert rows above and you can insert columns to the left and so on. So that's very important to understand how to do that if you're thinking of doing the exam. And finally, sometimes you're asked to convert a table back to a normal range. And the way you do that is, and I've done this in the previous lecture, but just to show you again, and the reason I'm saying it is because it's asked in a particular way. They usually ask something like, convert this table back to a normal range and keep the formatting, or do not keep, whatever. They will say something about the formatting. If I convert this to a range, you can see that it makes no difference to the formatting, and that's the important point. Converting to a range is very simple. You just go anywhere in the table and go to the table options and use the convert to range option. And that is pretty much all that you need to know about tables for the core or associated exams. And with that, please don't forget, subscribe. There'll be many, many videos coming up specific to the Excel Expert and Core or Associated exams. So please subscribe. See you soon.